Hey, Shalom, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh, the ones apostles, bishops, elders of great millstone, and Shalom, true brothers in the highways and byways, doing the works sincerely and faithfully. Continue fighting that good fight of faith, Lord willing, we're finding that number to be delivered. All right. So this is going to be a video. I want to take a snap of it, and again, fair use for this, fair use, fair use. All right. So the Jake you see on the screen in front of the piano, his name is Camden Stewart. You know, so I've seen a couple of his videos. He be getting down on the piano. All right, but what I want to focus on is that the Edomite Esau back there with the blue sweater. I want you to focus in on his face and watch how amazed this man looks at this Jake playing this piano. All right. Now, like I said, I've watched a few of his videos, you know, playing this piano, and this Jake, he be getting down, which leads me to believe this man could be Beethoven, you know, coming back. All right. He got to be about 22 years old or so, but he be getting down. So I'm going to play this video. And what I also will do is I'll put the link in the description just in case the video is too small, because I'm using it. You know, it may not come out as big as I want to get the true look on Esau's face. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to play the clip. Then we'll get into some scriptures and get into another article. All right, but watch this man's face. All right, so this Edomite is totally flabbergasted at how Jake is playing this piano so gracefully. All right, so like I said, through the spirit, I believe this man is Beethoven. So let's check this out. Now, this is from a book called The Life of Ludwig van Beethoven. All right, so this is chapter 11 on page 176. Now, let me read how they perceived and what Beethoven looked like back during this time in the I believe it was the 1800s, roughly around there, right? It says, now I'm reading the highlighted parts. It says, the facts are too patent. It says, like the multitude of studious youth and young men who came thither annually to find schools and teachers, this small, thin, dark-complected, pocket-marked, dark-eyed, bewigged young musician of 22 years had quietly journeyed to the capital to pursue the study of his art with a small, thin, dark-complected, pocket-marked, black-eyed, and bewigged veteran composer. In the well-known anecdote realized by Carpani of Haydn's introduction to him, Anton Esterhazy, the prince, is made to call the composer a Moor. Now, again, who were the Moors? What color were the Moors? It says Beethoven had even more of the Moor in his looks than his master. His front teeth owing to the singular flatness of the roof of his mouth, protruded in the course thrust out of his lips. The nose, too, was rather broad and decidedly flattened, while the forehead was remarkably full and round. In the words of the late court secretary Miller, who twice painted his portrait, a bullet. All right. So they describe Beethoven, all right, as a Moor. Now, why would they do that? Because they clearly describe what he looked like. They clearly describe his features. And the prince called him a man that looks like a Moor. Now, from there, let's go here. All right, let's go here. Now, let's see what Beethoven looks like according to Esau Edom. All right, this is how they got Beethoven looking. Born in 1770, died in 1827. But these are the images that Esau has composed that Beethoven looked like. You see what they have done? They have stolen everything that even remotely, is us. Everything that they have done, they have stolen. Right down to the pictures, right down to the anything. All right. So this is so-called Ludwig van Beethoven. Now, as we read, these devils don't look like no Moors. All right. So let's go from there. Let's go here. Can you describe what the Moors look like? All right. Here's a Moor here. Just like a Jake. These were all known Moors that are depicted as black people, if you will. So clearly, when they read or described Beethoven, they described a dark complected individual with a broad nose, flat broad nose. You see how this is? You see the changing and turning of things upside down by these devils? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5. And let me jump right down to verse I'm gonna jump down to verse 4. No, I'll start at 3. Yeah, it says, and they repentant and groaning of anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, in a proverb of a reproach. Now, mind you, I read this because looking at that man who was watching him play that piano, he had that same spirit on him of what this is talking about. This is he whom we had sometimes in derision. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He couldn't believe what this black man was doing on the piano, playing it so gracefully and eloquently, and then with those vocals. He just couldn't figure it out. Like I said, go back and watch that man's face. He was absolutely shocked that what he was witnessing was amazing. All right. Verse 5, it says, verse 4, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and his lot among the saints? And that's exactly what he's witnessing, a child of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That man's an Israelite, playing like an Israelite should. But that's the sentiment that this man is having right now. How is he doing this? Where did he come from? How does he possess such a heavenly gift to play that piano so gracefully, is what he's saying as he's looking. His mouth was open. His face was just just frazzled. He was kind of trying to figure it out. Is this real? He was like, am I in a dream? But here it is. Now the Lord is making it clear who the chosen people are. Everybody's coming around. Everybody's talking about, the so-called black people. The black man is the original man, and they got a close knit with God and all, everything that they're saying. And which is true. Esau, Edom is finished over here in Babylon the Great. This is why the time has come. Hosea 1:10, it says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. All right. Now, this is mainly going for here in Babylon the Great. But at the end of the day, Israel's being recognized all over the world, man. Jake is really being recognized all over the world. And you people love to hate it, but you can't resist it. And you wait till the Lord put the Spirit on us to do greater things than what you're seeing this man play at a piano. Y'all are really going to be shocked. You're really going to be in awe. But again, he's looking at one of the sons of the living power. All right? Beautifully masters. Beautifully played. Job 9:24. It says, the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. And this is a going theme with Esau, Edom. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. All right. Now those who understood and knew about Ludwig van Beethoven, they knew what he looked like because they described him. But Lord and behold, he becomes a white man. And on a higher level, just like our Lord Yahweh Shai. Lord and behold, they knew what color the Lord was. They knew what he looked like, where he came from, who his people were. But Lord and behold, he turned into a white man. Because the devil has stolen any and everything he put his hands on. You see? Any and everything he put his hands on, he has manipulated, he has converted, translated, or damn near eliminated. All right? It says, he covereth the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Well, who did that? Esau has stolen damn near everybody's identity. But he had to. He had to have done that because he needed to put so much confusion in the world so that the children of Israel would never find out who they are. And leave it up to, people like Vocab Malone and all these guys. They're still pushing that narrative that was put out there in the world. But it's now coming to an end because the Lord is now making it clear and making it known that his people, the so-called Negro, West Indian, Latino, and Native Americans, are the children of Israel. And ain't nothing anybody can do to stop it. That's the beauty about all this. There's nothing you can do to stop it. First Maccabees 3:48. It says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images. Right? Now, how in the hell can you read, certain literature and they describe a man to come into the point where you don't think the pieces of the puzzle would be put together? Matter of fact, let me go back. It says here, I gotta get the magnifying glass because it's so tiny. Let me start that paragraph towards the towards the end of that first sentence. And it says, like the multitude of studious youths and young men who came thither annually to find schools and teachers, this small, thin, dark-complexioned, pockmarked, dark-eyed, bewigged youth musician of 22 years had quietly journeyed to the capital to pursue the study of his art with a small, thin, dark-complected, pockmarked, black-eyed, and bewigged veteran composer, right? In the well-known anecdote related to Copernicus, Haydn introduced him, Anton Esterhazy, the prince, is made to call the composer a Moor. Salaki from butchering them names, but you get the point. Was made to call the composer a Moor. Okay? Beethoven had even more of the Moor. Beethoven had even more of the Moor in his looks than his master. So his master was a Jake, and Beethoven looked more even like a Jake. Right? It says his front teeth, owing to the singular flatness of the roof of his mouth, protruded, and the coarse thrust out of his lips. The nose too was rather broad and I can't even see that word. Decidedly flattened. So therefore, those are all characteristics of a young black man. All right? A young black man. So you can't sit there and say anything about, oh, man, Beethoven was a white man who was this composer that everybody loved and everybody wanted to be around. Right? But as I was saying, they've stolen everything about who we are and what we're about. All right? But the time has now come where things are going to be rectified. All right? The Lord ain't bullshitting no more. The Lord is about to really rain down upon Esau, Edom in judgment because of all the wickedness that they have, portrayed throughout the four corners of the earth, and primarily for what they've done to the children of Israel. All right? But all that being said, I just wanted to hit that quick one. Ludwig van Beethoven was a Jake, no doubt about it. And I believe through the spirit that this Jake here playing the piano, I believe he was, and he is possibly Beethoven. Look at Esau. You got to look at Esau's face, man. Like I said, I listened to some of his other compositions, and this brother be getting down. All right, so Lord willing, it's edifying just to bring out some history of Jake. As we know, Esau has proclaimed himself to be everybody, outside of actually who he is, the devil. Till next time, I say shalom.